Okay, so I saw this tweet and Pop Stuff said Beyonce's Cowboy Carter has the worst average daily streams for a track by any major release in 2024 with 199K average streams. It also experienced the worst decline in streams for any 2024 album after losing 93% of its streams in only 53 days since debut, going from 76 million to just 5 million. And someone quote retweet and said, the promotion, they missed hella opportunities with this album. It's just really unfortunate the way that Beyonce has promoted her last two albums. Renaissance was such a cultural reset. It's exactly what we needed. There's so many great songs on there, like Virgo's Groove, Plastic Off the Sofa, America Has a Problem, Alien Superstar, and yet she did not promote the album. We have no visuals for the album. We had a tour for the album, so I'll count that as the promotion. But when you have no visuals, when you have no live performances, the album could have been so much more. It could have been so much more, and it hurts me. And then this album, it's the same thing. We had no visuals for it. A tour hasn't been announced yet, but I feel like it's going to be coming up soon. And so, again, she just dropped the ball on this, and it just hurts me because these are such great albums, and I just want them to do more in terms of recognition and all that kind of stuff. And I get that Beyonce is at a place where she does not have to promote because her album is still going to do what it's going to do. But at a certain point, I want something more. I want something more. She's given us so many great rollouts, and now it's just like she's given up on it. So it's just really frustrating for me as a fan. And another thing that is frustrating is the fact that even with the albums, why is it taking forever for it to get in stores? Why are you shipping the album whenever all the songs aren't on the album? Like, she just released another version of the album, and I'm sorry, I feel like the people who bought the album, like myself, that didn't have all the songs, I should get another copy of that for free. Because why should I buy a copy of the album that didn't even give me all the songs? Like, I should get another copy of that. So just the way that she's promoted these last few albums is really frustrating for me. I'm a huge Beyonce fan. That just brought me to the longer conversation about album promotion, how important it is, and I had examples in terms of albums that I feel like were not promoted well versus albums that were promoted well, and so that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. A Mariah Carey example, so this is equals MC squared, and so she did promote this a lot. She was going to tour, but she canceled it, and then she had a miscarriage, so I really feel for her in that way. She did do some live performances for this and all that stuff. I feel like she basically did what she can do in promoting it. She's always going to promote her albums, right? But the thing that really frustrated me with this is the single choices, because the lead single was Touch My Body, which was a really fun upbeat song, and then I'm pretty sure the second single was Bye Bye, and I just basically killed the momentum for the rollout. I just felt like it should have been a lot of up-tempo songs. Like, we should have had I'll Be Loving You Long Time as the second single, or we should have had Migrate, and then eventually we get to that on the fourth or fifth single in terms of releasing that as a single. But I just really feel like it killed the momentum of this album, and so that's the thing that frustrated me. I think the album still did, well relatively, but the singles rollout was not it, in my opinion. And I feel like ever since this album, they have not nailed the single rollout for her. You might get one good single choice from an album, but overall, they just keep releasing the wrong singles for her that are not really representative of the album or that are not going to do well commercially. So whoever in charge of that needs to get fired, because it's really frustrating me, and this album could have done better had they released the right singles. Another Mariah Carey example is her Caution album. So this is actually one of her best albums. If you really want modern Mariah, definitely check out this album. It's great. The rollout of this album really frustrated me, and the thing that got me the most is the fact that the label released like half the album before it even came out as instant grats, and I just think that that was stupid. Whoever decided that needs to be fired, and even Mariah was against it, because people don't want that. People want like a song or two before the album comes out to see if they want to buy it, and to release half the album before, people feel like, I've already heard the album, it's not really worth listening to, or maybe they just like don't really care for that, and it's just the bad way to roll the album objectively. So I don't know why they thought that that would be a good idea. The buzz single was GTFO, which I really liked, and then the lead single for this album was actually going to be With You. I don't know why this was the lead for the album. I think it makes no sense. If you actually listen to the album, it sounds different than basically everything else on the album, and so I just don't think that it was the right thing to release. If I could pick, there's a few things I would go with. So number one, we could have done Distance with Ty Dolla $ign. I think that it was really at the time. He was super popular around that time. We needed an R&B jam. I think that that would have fit the bill perfectly. 8th Grade could have maybe been something good, though I wouldn't have minded that being like a later single. It wasn't even a single, which don't even get me started. And then we also could have maybe had a No-No. And so the thing with a No-No, and another way that they, really did her wrong, was the fact that she was supposed to have a remix with Cardi B and also with Lil' Kim, and then the label messed that up. And Cardi B was super big at this time, so I think that that could have been at least a top 20 single, and so them messing that up in that way is really frustrating. And again, she did what she needed to do in terms of promoting the album. She has done so many interviews for this album. She did some live performances. She toured, and they also didn't give her enough time to work on the album. Like, they really rushed her into, doing the album, and she said she wishes she would have had time to do more records off of it. Part of me is thankful, because I feel like if she would have had more time, she really would have overthought it. And so I definitely think that that's something there. I think that's why it's so good, because it's only 10 songs and stuff like that. She also had a song with Gunna. It's not one of my favorite songs in the album, but I could definitely see that as a single because he had some popularity at that time. So they just really botched the rollout of this, and it frustrates me. And that's why she left, you guys, because why would you release half the album before the album even comes out? That doesn't make any sense. And so this was really great for the time, and it just gives you what you want of Mariah, but also making it modern, so I'd recommend the album, but, you know, they did it so dirty, it really hurts. Album I feel like got botched right now is SZA's SOS album. I think she was number 1 for, what, like 10 weeks or something like that with this album on Billboard 200, which is really impressive. People aren't doing that nowadays. The tour was successful. I went to it. It was great, and she had a number 1 hit, and Kill Bill Snooze was very successful in the top 10 on the charts as well, but the single rollout I feel like they have really botched, because why are you teasing a music video for Seek and Destroy that we don't have? You tease a video for Low that we don't have, and I feel like they should have released more singles off of this album and just use social media to promote this album more. Also, there was a deluxe that's been teased for this album that we still have yet to get. I blame Punch and TDE because it took us forever to even get this album, so it just frustrates me because this is such a successful album and then everything was taking forever. The vinyls took forever to get for this album as well, and so I just hope she gets off this label ASAP because they keep botching her roads and it's really frustrating to me. So, you know, I think part of it's TDE, and I think it's like signed to a subsidiary of RCA as it is, so I think that's also partially their fault, but I'm frustrated by it. Oliviarodrigo Guts, this is a more modern one that I feel like they're really botching the album rollout on at the moment, because Vampire was a great lead single. You guys did not promote Get Him Back nearly enough, which really bothers me, and the fact that they basically paid Bad Idea Right Dust. Like, why are you guys not getting more stuff out on radio? Why was I not seeing more performances at the time, and why are you guys not utilizing the social media team to promote these things? And why do we not have more singles for the album? Okay, like, I'm just really frustrated. And yes, she did release Obsessed, and we got Guts Deluxe and stuff like that, but there was, like, a gap from the last single and then that. So, yeah, they just botched her up. I feel like they did that because I felt like the fans were going to carry it like they did for her first album and stuff. And the first album had better promotion just in general. And so they dropped the ball on it, and it hurts me because this album, I think, should have done a lot better than it did and stuff. And I'm pretty sure it outsold Sour in the first week, which was deserved. I think that this is a better album, but they could have put so much more into the role of this. And I think she's on tour right now, and I'm supposed to go see her with my sister, so I think that will be fun, but, you know, they just irritated me with the role of this. Now, this is Katy Perry, Witness. Now, this is an album I actually haven't listened to. Everything I've seen about this album makes it look horrible. The fact that she cut her hair short, the fact that she did the live stream and all those interviews and stuff like that, all the controversy that she had, the fact that she said she was going to do purposeful pop. Yeah, this was just a train wreck from the beginning. It was just a train wreck from the beginning. And yeah, so I don't hear good things about this album. I don't think the promotion did it any favors. And so it was just a really bad swing for her, because when you do so long of being a one-trick pony and basically just giving the same great pop song over and over again, and now you want to do something different, you waited too long for that. You waited too long for that. The image change was too shocking. And so, you know, that's why she flopped. And she's tried to come back from that, and she didn't come back from that. And it is what it is, but, you know, that's why she flopped, and this is, like, one of the biggest flops of all time, I fear. Christinaaguilera, Bionic, this also flopped because basically they said she was ripping off Lady Gaga. They had a point. They had a point. I'm sorry. This is another one I felt like really deserved to flop. And they released horrible singles for this album. In my opinion, there was only 3 or 4 good songs off of this album. Her career has never recovered after this album. She had like 2 or 3 hit songs after this. She had the hit song with Maroon 5. She had that one called Say Something with A Great Big World. She's had small moments, but in terms of the album sales, in terms of the singles, she's flopped ever since then. And so they just could have done better things with promoting this album, and the singles were just not great enough to kind of carry her like we had with her Stripped and a Back to Basics. So I mean, this, yeah, it just was not it. Now we are on to some great album rollouts. The Emancipation of Mimi. I mean, I thought that it was really great to have It's Like That as the buzz single. We Belong Together, #1, 14 weeks. Shake It Off was a great song. She blocked herself from #1 because We Belong Together was such a smash at that time, you know, so I could appreciate it in that respect. And we also had other great songs off of this album, like Circles, and then Stay the Night was incredible. Fly Like a Bird is one of my favorite Mariah Carey songs, and this album just gave what needed to be gave. Everyone wanted the belting back and, you know, all those vocal gymnastics that she's known for. She gave us that. She gave us great songwriting on here yet again. Just so many things that are memorable. She toured for this album. She did the Grammys performance, and yeah, like, they just did a great job of just showing, like, hey, this is Mariah Carey, one of the greatest singers of all time, in terms of, you know, the management at that time and the label actually pushing this album and all that stuff. So I really like this album rollout. Janet Jackson, Rhythm Nation 1814. I mean, what else can I say? #1s in 3 separate calendar years, 1989, 1990, and 1991. 7 singles that were in the top 5. This is back when you had to go to a store and buy the singles. This album did exactly what needed to be done. Great songs, Rhythm Nation song, Come Back to Me, Love Will Never Do Without You, Miss You Much, Black Cat, and I could go on and on and on. Her, Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, they meant business. The label meant business. And whenever she went on tour, I'm pretty sure it's the best-selling debut tour of all time to this day. To this day. A lot of people not making hits like Janet Jackson. Her legacy is not where it should be because of the Super Bowl, and that's unfortunate. But when you listen to this album, y'all playing Janet Jackson a little bit too much. I'm sorry, they ate with the roll of this. So many great songs on this album. Michael Jackson, Thriller. I mean, it's Thriller. What else can I say? Multiple hit songs off of this album. I mean, 6 out of 8 songs on this were released as singles, and those are all hits. With Billie Jean, Thriller, I mean, even The Girl Is Mine, a lot of people do too much on that. I always really like this song. So, yeah, this album, a smash hit. It's like the best-selling album of all time. And so rightfully deserved. You know, with all the music videos he did, with the performances, like, this was an era. And many people have been chasing this, and they're not even going to come close. I'm sorry. Taylor Swift, 1989, did what I had to do. There were 6 singles. Shake It Off, Blank Space, Wildest Dreams, all cultural resets. And whenever I'm talking about best pop eras of all time, Taylor Swift 1989 will be in that conversation. A lot of people try to compare new pop albums to 1989, not even coming close. Okay, this did what had to be done. Like Taylor Swift or not to like Taylor Swift, the impact is undeniable, and a decade later, everyone else wanted to do the 80s synth pop that she did in 2014. To wrap up my thoughts on this topic, I think that album promotion is super important for the label and for the artist. As an artist, don't expect your album to do well if you're not doing interviews, if you're not going on tour and releasing singles and driving the momentum for the album. I don't want to see you complain because you didn't do what you needed to do. You did all the work for the album, and then now the album comes out and you just want to abandon it. It really irritates me. And so in order for an album to be successful, you know, we have to have multiple things going on. We have to have the label promoting it, releasing singles, making sure that music video is going to come out, making sure you get the fan base engaged, and just really putting your money where your mouth is in your investment in the artist. So that's number 1. Number 2, we need the social media team to be on point to make sure that we're getting fans engaged and promoting the music on social media and trying to make trends to make it go viral. Number 3, we need the management team to be on point and making it to where the artist doesn't have a whole bunch of big controversies that are going to blow up in their face so people don't want to buy and support the album. And, you know, 4, we need the album to be accessible in all formats, you know, whether that is on iTunes, in the stores, on TikTok, and all those things. And so, yeah, everybody got to do their part to promote an album. The album ain't going to promote itself at the end of the day. And so that's what I think the importance is in album promotion. There's so many albums I thought were great and I thought they deserved more. But unfortunately, the label didn't do their part in terms of promoting it correctly and releasing the right singles. So it is what it is in that regard, but I think that it's super important. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comments on this. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? How important is the album promotion to you and all of those things? And let's continue that conversation.